Hey, well, welcome everybody to the fall season startup. Some old stuff and new stuff that we're going to kind of be going over here. So let's give this a whirl.
Hi. Hey, this kid's potato sack doesn't look regulation to me.
Excuse me?
Well, it's got a wider base, and that's totally unfair to my kid, right? I want to launch a protest. Look, it's 2 inches higher. Look at those hand grips. It's not regulation.
Regulation?
Look, you know what else? I want a urine sample from this kid. He looks a little beefy for a 5-year-old.
Look at this.
And one more, hopefully.
Go get that donkey. Hey, you're going the wrong way. Come on.
What?
Slaughtered at musical chairs. We've practiced this at home a million times. We are losing. I can't believe I missed.
We're in the wrong field? What?
You're all right, home.
Well, the coaches are.
Well, fall sports are back, folks. Here we go. Just some old stuff that we can look forward to and some new stuff. Whoopsie, what did I do? The you know, what we're going to go with should be interesting. What is it going to look like? The governor came out today and he had some conversation about return to work. We'll talk a little bit about that. Looking at how keeping everybody still safe, even though with vaccines going on and some folks having them, some not, what we need to do. Looking at when the season's going to start up. And, you know, again, some old stuff, new stuff with COVID impact for now and during the sports season. And then a lot of standard operating procedures with changes that are due to COVID. So we'll kind of run through all those and get us going here. If you can hang on to questions till we get to the end, just write them down or throw them in the chat, and Miss Duffett can handle those also too. Thank you very much. So what we know right now, this was when I put it together at least last night or in the last couple of days, there's no crowd limits outside, you know, so full attendance at all our sporting events, you know, football, soccer, everything that we have. Indoor, it looks like we're still at 50% for indoor activities, you know, for basketball and volleyball, things that I have on here. For mask wearing inside if not vaccinated for our district, right now through the end of the school year, mask is mandatory in buildings. So in the weight room, in the gym, we'll have to have masks. Will that affect summer camps? I think it will. I think it's going to be into July 1st. It'll be that way. So folks that are having summer camps will have to have masks, even though you're vaccinated indoor on campus. And if something changes, and of course we know it changes by the minute, I'll certainly update you. And then nothing about the COVID testing. It's supposed to expire on the 31st. My feeling in conversations around the league is that they'll probably keep it through spring sports, to the end of spring sports. We don't think it's going to affect summer conditioning or summer activities. Just don't know. We just can't read that part of it, but we think at least through like state playoffs for all spring sports, that's still going to happen for us with that stuff. Same old, same new stuff too. You know, how to keep everyone safe. You know, washing your hands, covering, you know, your cough, your sneezes. Don't share items as we have not done this year. You know, make sure we're disinfecting. We have obviously all that stuff at need. We'll set up for those folks again, if you would, whoopsie, go back, Jimmy. For you folks that would like, and we'll have it set up a bag of COVID stuff, hand sanitizer, cleaners, masks, those kinds of things, you know, keeping the same things that we've been doing, you know, separate items, your own gear, you know, sharing and stuff. And with the food and things like that, the only difference that we're looking at right now, we're going to provide filling stations for water, but they're still going to have to provide their own container. We won't have cups and things right now. But again, that could change at this point in time. You know, if they have a bottle, kind of, you know, we'll have some water available, meaning that, you know, coaches, you'll have to make some arrangements to make sure you have water, a 5 or a 10-gallon container for water, and have that available, and then filling that for the individuals. You'll have to either assign somebody to do that, a person as a coach or a individual, so that multiple people are sharing the tap. And if they are sharing the dispenser, then it just has to be wiped down continuously. When will it begin? All sports now with new MSHA ruling, everything for high school sports is August 8th, including equestrian and sailing. They'll start on August 8th with everyone else. Welcome to start for that. Prior to that, summer camps, you certainly can have those as long as you know you're having them, you've shared them, we know what's going on, and we go through the rest of the paperwork with you know, physicals and stuff. Middle school, you can start camps on August 16th with your teams. Conditioning along those lines, and then first official day is August 23rd for middle school sports. Okay, the plans. This is some old stuff, new stuff. We talked about our plans last year, like the National Federation of High School, a plan that they had in place when it returned to play, the MSHA returned to play, the Huron League plan, and of course our district plan. Right now, there's nothing new going into 21-22 school year. We're still working off whatever's in place with the new rules and the plans that we have. And we'll keep you updated as much as possible with it. Sometimes you guys are finding out before the athletic department does, and please feel free to share if you do. Medical. We don't have a trainer. We haven't had a trainer since Mayor left in March. We are in the process of seeking an alternative provider. Our current provider is not doing a very effective job for us, obviously, and the business office is helping seek for a different provider, and that comes back to contractual and what we can afford with it too. What the supplies that you need for medical, we have those available. Just have to get a kit set up, and we can continue to keep that filled up. You know, what's the impact for COVID-19 and now and during the sports season? You know, we hit on that briefly. You know, mask in all buildings through the end of the school year, probably through July 1st. As we get into the new sports season, we'll have to see what comes out of the July 1st, everything kind of normal, and how that's going to be affected to sports. So really practicing what we know is safe and healthy to do outdoors with, you know, social distancing and no mask, of course, but indoors masking, and same thing, social distancing, and, you know, your pod workouts. Patty shared quite a few attachments with you earlier today. Talks about article that I ran across for pediatric athletes and parents. I thought it was interesting. I know it's outdated, but I thought it was just interesting, some different things to take off of there that you could maybe add into your program, or, you know, if you so choose. But we're doing a lot of the things there, and what happens on the rebound when you are sick. Physical forms are required this year by everybody. I know the last year it was just a waiver or a questionnaire, but this year, so before you do any conditioning, any tryouts, any lifting, any of those kinds of things, they have to have turned in, and it has to be dated after April 15th of 2021. You can submit it to the office or upload it online and send it in that way. July 1st, and Patty will talk about this in a second, or in a bit, I should say, we're moving to an online registration website, and everything can be done online, their physical forms and everything. But for summer, make sure you have some emergency contacts and any health concerns that you may be aware of. That's what we need, that information for a physical, that if you're doing lifting or conditioning, if there's any issues that an individual may have or we may not even be aware of. And then also the heat concerns that we have every summer and every early fall. That chart was included in there. Be wise with that and the weather. Coaches certifications. Mrs. Duffett may have to help me on this. You can certainly start on some of these things, but the MSHA rules meeting I know is not out there yet for fall sports. Safe schools or EduStaff. If you're doing any of these type of certifications and you're with EduStaff through payroll, do them through EduStaff. You just have to do a screenshot or let Patty, send Patty a copy so she can check it off. Or I don't know, Mrs. Duffett, if you get a copy of that or not. And however, there are some on here through Safe Schools that aren't offered through EduStaff. So you'll have to kind of work between the two to make sure that you verify those all for our district, in addition to some free coaching courses through the Federation. And that's where also the Federation is the concussion program. My understanding when I did the rules meeting this spring, it had a concussion component part of it, and that met my requirement. So we'll have to double check and see if the MSHE continues that for this fall, which would be great. Then you don't have to go to another site and take it, but we'll see where it goes from there. Anything else about certifications, Patty?
No, but if you are a EduStaff coach, paid through EduStaff, if you can send me the list of courses that you take for EduStaff, just a screenshot, or if you can download a list or whatever, that would make it much easier for me, because then I can register you for the ones that EduStaff doesn't offer.
And as a sidebar, I'm working with John Scharf, the Monroe Jefferson former athletic director, CPR. The MSHAA has kind of let us do an online type of CPR, but we may end up having to provide a hands-on course, which in turn ends up being an additional fee that we're assessed. We can certainly have some discussion and maybe somehow work out a fundraiser or a donation or something, how if we do get tabbed with providing hands-on CPR course, how that could be funded another way. How it begins. Out of season coaching regulations. Shared with you the MSHA protocols for out of season, what you're allowed to do, summer competition limits. Certainly you want to read through that. 4-player rules, being aware of what that means for the 4-player rules. Football, your allowable things that you can do with your season, including camps or clinics, in-state, out-of-state, when pads are acceptable and not. Then beginning in 21, football coaches may hold 15 dates of, 15 dates of non-mandatory activity where any number of players, grades 9 or 6, 8 separately. Okay, so you can do that this year. Excluding your camps or general kind of conditioning kinds of things. Summer dead period, we're going to go the 2nd through the 11th for our summer dead period. So if you're planning for a holiday, certainly do that. And then our preseason downtime, that starts August 1st for us. So August 1st, which means no open gyms or practice rotations or, 4-person activities. You know, conditioning, you can certainly do that. You can lift, you can, you know, do those kinds of things with your team, running, the weight room, things like that. But no sport specific equipment out is probably the best way to explain the preseason downtime, running plays or having, you know, equipment accessible for athletes. How to get into, you know, the out of season coaches regulations. You certainly want to read through that and everything that's involved with it when it comes to conditioning and weightlifting, what you're allowed to do and not allowed to do for conditioning. Those are, I guess the best way to put it is conditioning or mandatory practices that beyond your limited days of 15, conditioning is open to everybody. You know, it's X's and O's and equipment along those lines. Open gyms and rotations, understanding the difference between that. It means you have 4 players in the north court and 4 players in the south court, and you're rotating kids in. You're following just having an open opportunity for them, like through your camps and stuff. And then chair restrictions, I have that in here. The probably a better understanding for me with it is that, you know, the difference between competitive type practices versus sideline practices where, again, this is my interpretation of cheers and chants and limited stunting for sideline versus developing rounds 1, 2, and 3 during the summer activities when it's sideline type practices. Can competitive cheer have summer activities and practices? Absolutely. You know, same with hockey and wrestling and, you know, track and lacrosse. They can do things in the summer too. But when it comes to sideline practices, those have to be separate from competitive. Foundation of coaches information, preseason. You know, I know you shared with us, and certainly share again if you want Patty to send some information out on Facebook or the district Facebook, excuse me, or online through the announcements, through email blast to all the students. If we do an email blast, Patty and I can discuss a little bit more, and maybe you can throw it in the chat. We would like to do a single email blast to all high school and middle school students that reminder, summer activities are starting on this day. Here's a list of, you know, when they are. Check our website and how to contact the coach through our website. You know, do the parents know, you know, we want the parents and players to know the dates and times of things that are going on. Show you on the Fan Central thing that we're going to be doing, you know, what's in store for them. You know, I know some of the coaches have sent some things in to put online here in school, and it talks about what they need to bring to practices, you know, t-shirts, shorts, you know, their water, things like that, and any type of summer activities that you're thinking about having. Hoping, you know, once we get past July 1st, we're moving into traditional fall sports. In-season meetings, information and meetings, you know, talking about your parent meeting, I would hold off on, you certainly can have a preseason or pre-informational meeting with your parents, but may want to hold off to, you know, after the July 4th holiday to have an official fall meeting with your programs, just to see what happens after that new mandate, if any changes come about from that for fall sports. You know, things to talk about, you know, your philosophy, you know, what's the perception do you want your program to project, your chain of command, you know, you want them calling me first, or do you want them starting with you? Because when they call me, I'm certainly going to listen, but I also am going to send them back. You know, expectations from the parents, the value of what your sports have, you know, your objective and principles of participation. You know, what is it going to be to be in the program? What are you going to get? Is it going to be everybody's going to get 2 minutes of playing time on the field? Everybody's going to get a varsity letter when they come out for the team? You know, what do you have for that? Those are questions sometimes I have to answer, and I know we have a varsity letter criterion that we sent around to the head coaches. So we'll send that out again for 21-22 for an update. Eligibility, attendance, and academics, those are all the same as they have been for the past year and will be the same going forward. You know, right now passing 5 out of 7, they have to make sure that they have passed second semester to be eligible for fall. Attendance, we'll look at that when we get in to the school year, and then of course the academic part of it. Great conversation with somebody today that was at the collegiate level. They had a quote unquote full ride. Their full ride was all based on academic. So they received more money academically than they did athletically. So I still push that part of it. Cost for your sports, clothing, travel, anything that's involved with your sport. You know, maybe you want a tournament uniform. You know, the Booster Club provides us uniforms for our teams, but maybe this is something so people aren't surprised. It's you know, expense part of it. Travel, busing. I don't know where that stands right now, to be honest with you. Hopefully in the next few weeks we'll know where that stands. You know, if we had to go back to full busing right now, we couldn't as a district. We don't have enough individuals to provide transportation just for the daily. Afternoon, it was tough. As you know, back in prior to COVID, it was tough getting trips and putting people in buses. There were sometimes, as you know, we doubled and sometimes even tripled a team into a bus, dropped off and came back and picked up. So I don't know where that stands as a district. We'll talk probably more after July 1 when I know about it. Activities fees, date, and plus past due. We are doing our best always to make that information. I don't feel it's the coach's responsibility to persistently talk to an individual about their fee. I do ask the coaches to remind individuals, but there has to come a point in time, and I did not get in this position to become a repo man, but it has to come a point in time that I've got to approach you and say that I'm sorry, this person can't participate until this is resolved. And we have a very open opportunity for waivers. It just has to be communicated. And we certainly can talk more about that, and I'm open for suggestions on that one. Seasonal information for us, pretty traditional stuff. Timelines, practices, contest, anything that that you have established, we need to know about. Rosters, typically as you develop them throughout the summer, send them along. We want to know those, just one, so that we have someone on the rolls in case there's a health concern or an insurance related concern, that we have that available for everybody. You know, responsibilities that you're doling out for your captains this year. We've shared that in the past, and there's some things that, you know, what's required for your captains in your program. Parents like to know that, and may want to know that ahead of time, why their individual athlete wasn't chosen to be a captain. You know, you may have a contract. One of the informations I've shared in the coach's handbook is a captain's kind of contract. Locker assignments, certainly be able to use the locker room this year. Again, we're kind of seeing what happens after July 1st. I don't see anything right now, but we don't know. And then the use of it, just as we normally did this past year. Appreciate facility repairs that need to be done over the summer. If you get a chance, come around, check out what's happening in the fall for your fall sports to get underway. Send me a note. I try to keep my eyes open. Do I see everything? No. Do I see something and try to remember to text it to Mrs. Duffett so we can do stuff? Sometimes, not all the times, but if there's things that we're not aware of, certainly it's a great time over the summer to knock it out. Officials evaluations, I have to get a clearer understanding of this, but I believe all sub-varsity and varsity coaches will be doing official evaluations this year, 21-22. So this will be new to the sub-varsity JVs, freshmen, middle school folks. So we'll work our way through that. Varsity coaches, I'll probably lean on you to help the people in your program understand that process. It's best to do, the next day to do your evaluations to get them out of the way. Then you don't get reminders from me, which come from the MSHA and also to the principal and the superintendent that you haven't done your evaluations. As you're doing them, that reminder drops off. So you certainly want to take up on that. Officials, period. It's been a rough spring getting coverage. Fall's probably not going to be any better because some of the individuals that didn't do sports last year kind of liked it and they're not coming back to do it. I had a football crew that did a lot of my middle school JV. Three of the five guys, three of the four guys, they're not coming back anymore. So we are struggling on officials. Certainly want to push it. All league meetings will happen this year. They will be virtual from what we're talking about as ADs. It'd be nice to get together, but right now they're all going to be virtual. I'm in charge of, for fall sports, I'm in charge of cross country and sideline cheer and equestrian in the league. And I don't think I'm missing anybody else. What the events that I host meetings. So we'll get that information out, and that'll probably be around the end of July to the first part of August when those meetings will take place. Seasonal information, Ms. Duffy, you want to jump in on the handbook part of it so I don't goof that up?
Sure. There's a coach's website page embedded in the Groseal Township Schools athletics page that has a lot of information. All the paper information that we used to hand out at these meetings is listed on the website. There's the password and the username, and I will email it out to everybody too, so you don't have to take pictures of it or anything today. But there's a lot of information there. All the forms that you might need for anything are listed there. So when you get the coach login information in your email, don't delete it. Print it out and put it someplace safe.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Duffett. Media and high school sports and Fan Central scores and announcements. It's a new program that we've added to our online process. I'll show you a quick overview of it here in a minute. So getting your scores in or making announcements through social media, doing that part of it. Daily announcements, school announcements. If you send it to me, I'll send it on to Ms. Seguin and then she'll put it in the announcements. It's been a little different this year, but hopefully back to normalish come, the fall with events. Inclement weather, we've talked about, we're well aware of it. Keep a great eye on it. Everybody's done a great job in the past. If you're new to it, you've got alerts you can set up on your phones and we'll certainly keep you updated. Pictures Day, I've already established football and sideline cheer picture day for the first Saturday of practice. If you have teams that have your uniforms, you don't need new uniforms, or if you want to wait, I typically wait till September for a variety of the other teams just to make sure you have all your newcomers in place and maybe you picked up a few. Or if you want to establish something earlier than that, contact me and we'll work something out. Hopefully now with pictures, we did, I guess, a composite, which turned out okay. We've got to get those up and we're trying to get those individuals back in the building to help us on that part of it. And then fundraising. I don't know where we stand on fundraising right now, outside of virtual type of fundraising, door to door or in front of Kroger's and things like that. The district hasn't moved right now away from no fundraising at this point in time for those type of activities. If it's a virtual kind of thing or situation, contact me. We'll do a fundraising form and process it from there. Volunteers for your program, get with Patty, let us know who those are. They have to go through the same processing as any coach does, with background and testing along those lines. Then ordering supplies and equipment. That should be the next slide. Yep, there you go, Mrs. Duffett.
This hasn't changed. But if you order something and expect me to pay for it or write a check, get a check cut to pay for it, then I better have a quote, and this process needs to be followed. If you just order it, then expect to be using your credit card to pay for it and with no reimbursement. If I don't order it, the business office will not let me pay for it.
It's pretty easy process. Back in the days, we need 7 to 14 days or 21 days to get something processed. We do, if it's things that can be ordered online, Patty has that availability. If it's stuff from maybe team sports or from Park Athletic or Monroe, Patty has that availability to contact them and process it. However, if it's, beyond several thousands of dollars, there is a still long process for approval. But the bottom line is, well, geez, I needed a couple of kicking tees, and you order them. Well, thank you for the donation to our football program. That's kind of the way it's going to be processed. So it's not that easy. Send her an email and she'll get on that right away. Here's what we're looking at. It's called Big Team's website. It's Schedule Star, where we put in and develop the schedules. This is new, and we're learning, and we're sharing with you and the parents throughout the summer. Student Central, everything online. So everything they've done with us in the past will be online. Filling out any type of forms that we had. We did a lot of it this year. Any type of forms that you want filled out can be done this way, and collected this way. Also with, there's another part of it called Medical Central, tracking injuries. So now that instead of you're wondering what did the trainer do or what happened, that information will be in there, and you have access to it for your team or your student to look up and see, okay, they'll be released on Wednesday from their concussion protocol, or they've not seen the doctor yet for any diagnosis. We don't know where they're at. So hopefully this will make our lives a lot easier. Yeah, it would be great too to have a trainer in here so to process it, but we'll do our best to keep it up. And then Fan Central, I'm going to click on that here in a second and show you what that's all about for us. The online registration, we talked about that. The Med Central, this is the coaches site. Payments are still at, is it Pay School still for now, Patty? I know they may change that, but we'll let you know if that happens.
Yeah, it is currently Pay Schools.
Yeah, by check or credit card, you can do it to the athletic department. I would say the athletic director is about 70% sure we're going to GoFan for ticketing for all paid events. So we'll share that information, be processed, and instead of how it was this fall and this spring where you send out a code to each parent or stuff, it's basically like, concert tickets or Tiger tickets or anything like that. Grosville versus Flat Rock for homecoming, general admission, you go on there, we put the amount of tickets that we want to sell, and when they're sold out, they're sold out, just like any other event. And there were some things to work on, but it went pretty well. Here's the Fan Central. Let's see if I can do this right. There we go. So here's Fan Central right now. This is the front page to it. Many of you have seen it. Many of you might have even used it. It gives a list of fall sports. And if you click on any of these these fall sports. Oh, I don't know. Just click on them. Varsity or co-ed. That's 1920. This is the past year. It gives us schedule when they had a meeting in there. You can set up however you want to develop it, and we can give you a link to it. So it's not very good. We'll get back to it. I didn't do a lot on this one. Here's some of the folks that were on the team, information that you can put on it, news, photos, all that stuff. Click down here. Gives you a team link. If you then go back, you can also click on the calendar part. YouTube does a much better job than I do on this. Gives you the activities for today. You can set up how you want. This says 19 events, but it also includes all our practices, games, testing, anything that we have in the athletic department on here. You can set it up however you want to do it. You can do day, month, couple days, or you can pick out just the sports practice or schools. So these are just the sports that are happening for today, 9. Okay, where's big teams? Get into that. Here's the screen that I work from and put in information. I've got practices clicked off, but what would happen is you would gain access to Fan Central, which I just showed you by, typing in your email address, and oops, I forgot to put show me the password so you know whose email to use. And that's going to take you into getting you access at some point, as slowly as it goes, to the main working page. And then it has, look, we're broke, we haven't paid our fees this year. It takes you into, if you want to develop, we can give you access to it, and you can do any of these things. Manage users. As a coach, we put you in there, and you can get into this site and set up however you want to do it. Any additional things. Patty obviously has some folks already set in there, and then going from there. So it's newer to me. It's something that we're trying to make a better job of communications with social media. We do have a Twitter page. We have a district Facebook page, and I know some of you may have or have your own pages out there. Just trying to help maybe take some of that pressure off of you with trying to keep up on all that stuff and direct it through us. But I'm also looking for the suggestions, because social media is an area I need to grow in, and also anything from there. Okay, Mrs. Duffett, and I guess we can stop recording and then answer any questions or leave it from there.